Well, this current quarter is going to see the US economy return to its pre-pandemic level of economic output. Yet we've also got to remember that there's still 8 million people fewer in work than there were in February of last year. But it's quite clear from surveys that businesses are really struggling to find workers. One example is the small business sector, whereby 44% of companies have vacancies that they simply cannot fill right now. And this provides potentially a major constraint on economic growth going forward. We attribute this to 4 factors. Firstly, a lot of pupils are still being schooled at home, so this of course means that a lot of parents have to stay at home too. Secondly, we've got to remember that the pandemic isn't yet over and some workers may be reluctant to return just yet. Then of course there's also some older workers who may have lost their jobs that have chosen to take early retirement. Then there's a 4th factor which is causing a bit of a debate here in the US, and that's the effects of expanded and uprated unemployment benefits. Have they diminished the financial attractiveness of returning to work? Well, vaccination programs, school reopenings, and of course the ending of these expanded unemployment benefits in September mean that we should be expecting the labour force to grow once again later in the year. Nonetheless, we are left with this window of perhaps 3 or 4 months where tight labour supply could be a real constraint on economic activity as businesses look to reopen and expand. This competition for staff means that companies are really going to have to start paying up to recruit and also retain the staff that they currently have. And that's going to put up employment costs. Companies are actually in a pretty good position to pass these higher costs on to their customers. And that's another key factor that leads us to conclude that inflation is likely to be more persistent than the Federal Reserve are currently acknowledging. And it also leads us to conclude that interest rates are likely to rise far sooner than the 2024 date the Federal Reserve are currently penciling in.